Ape Out. Monkey game. Throw a man out window. Break lots of windows. Listen to aggressive jazz.
Alright, that's enough of that. Time to actually make sentences. Ape Out is a top-down brawler where you play through a recreation of what happens whenever I hear people shit-talk Silent Hill 4, answering the question of what if Hotline Miami but jazz? Ape Out is a great game to play if you had a bad day at work. Before I unga-bunga about this game for however long this video ends up being, you should know that there's going to be spoilers. I put that in quotations because there's not really any story to spoil in this game, but I am going to be showing off the whole thing, so if you want to be surprised by some of the gameplay elements that show up, maybe go play the game for yourself. But if you've already played it, or you just don't care about that sort of thing, then grab a clutch of bananas and start pounding your chest, cause it's time to. Ape Out is one of those games that you can sum up in just one sentence. Monkey see, monkey fucking destroy. It's basically a video game adaptation of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The gameplay loop is simple. You traverse randomly generated mazes and kill anyone who gets in your way. You got two attacks, slapping people so hard they fly at walls at Mach 5 and explode when they hit it, and grabbing people to use as a human shield. Your goal is also simple. Escape and take revenge on that child. To accomplish this goal, you have to traverse 4 separate sets of levels, represented as these vinyls that someone bought from Walmart. Like I pointed out in the intro, it's easy to notice a lot of parallels to Hotline Miami. Alongside the obvious comparison of both being hyper-violent top-down action games, they also both possess distinctive visual styles and rely heavily on high-octane soundtracks to help facilitate the fast-paced gameplay. Whereas Hotline Miami's soundtrack consisted of music reminiscent of something you'd hear on some nerd's Walkman in the 80s, Ape Out's OST is more like something you'd hear in a nightclub in the 40s. The music is dynamic and syncs up with what the player is doing. Drums rapidly beat when you run down a hallway and cymbals crash whenever you send some poor bastard headfirst into heaven. I've heard the soundtrack described as musical violence, and I think that's a pretty accurate description of it. Considering you've presumably been using your eyes to watch this video the whole time, you probably noticed the game's unique visuals. Done by both the lead developer and the dude who made Quap, it's very similar to the style of Saul Bass. If you don't know who that is, he was a graphic designer who did a lot of work on movie intros in the 60s, notably the Alfred Hitchcock films North by Northwest, Vertigo, and Psycho. Let's get a tally of all 3 of the major reasons this game kicks ass. Good gameplay, good music, and good visuals. But I feel like I'm forgetting a 4th notable quality. Whatever could that be? Oh yeah, this game is hard as fuck. As a gorilla, you do not know how gun works. As humans, your enemies very much know how gun works. Given that you ultimately have no armor, you take very few shots to kill, so while enemies die very easily, so do you. As you progress through the game, the arsenal available to the anti-orangutan front expands to include a wider variety of killing instruments. Unlike Hotline Miami though, yours does not, so you're going to have to figure out how to adapt your monkey skills to an increasingly well-armed faction of primate-hating partisans. So where do you do your aping out? As I said earlier, 4 sets of levels, represented by albums. This kind of reminds me of how in Hotline Miami 2 each level was represented by VHS tapes. I don't know if this was an intentional parallel by the dev here or if it's just a fun coincidence, but either way it's a cool way to further tie the game into jazz. First album, Subject 4. I'm guessing that the story here is you're a monkey that's being experimented on, you have to break out of some kind of research facility. As is expected, this is the most basic of the 4 sections. Only 3 types of enemies: regular man with gun, armored man with gun, and exploding man with gun. Right off the bat, you get introduced to the game's mechanics and frequently have to figure out how to adapt to the many changes the game throws at you. See? I told you this game had flair. Second album, High Rise. I can't speculate on the story here, I have no idea why the fuck they would be keeping a gorilla in a skyscraper. Here's a new gameplay mechanic, you can toss these assholes through the window. This shit is hilarious. New enemies, these wimpy bitches with handguns that run away from you, SWAT guys with SMGs, and snipers trying to Lee Harvey Oswald your ass. If you grab a SWAT guy, he freaks out and starts unloading his gun on everything, which can be useful for clearing out entire rooms. Third album, Fug You. You're in a military base that's getting bombed to shit and have to fight your way out. Bro, imagine being a soldier here. You shit yourself because you think an enemy plane is about to blow you to smithereens, and then this psychotic fucking gorilla barrels in and tears you in half. What a way to go. Eventually, you make it out of the base and into the jungle. Being a monkey, you'd think this would be grounds for celebration, but it's not because these douchebags with flamethrowers are patrolling around. These guys made my ass hurt immensely. This was easily the hardest part of the game for me. To top it all off, in the last level of this album, you also have to dodge all these bombs coming down on you. This shit was rough. Fourth album, Adrift. Call me Ishmael, and let me tell you the tale of Moby Dick, except he wasn't a whale. He was actually a solid orange baboon with a bloodlust that'd make Michael Myers sweat. You're on a boat and have to escape. Can apes swim? I have no fucking idea, but there's levels to beat and people to kill, so we're going for it. There's guys with rocket launchers who surprisingly aren't that hard to beat, but you have to deal with the flamethrowers again, which makes up for it. Luckily, the boat wasn't at sea yet, so after your marine massacre is finished, you can escape back to land and get hit by a car. I wonder if his insurance covers that. To cap things off, you break out of a zoo and start freeing the other animals. Look at this shit, it's basically Noah's Ark unrated edition. This is awesome though. Go, my animal army, rise up and take back the planet from these bastard bipeds. You have nothing to lose but visitor photo shoots. Ape Out, ladies and gentlemen. This was a pretty short video, primarily because this was a pretty short game. Seriously, I beat the whole thing in like 2 hours. Now, this can be taken as both a positive and a negative. On one hand, if you only play through the game once, then yeah, you might feel like you wasted $10. But on the other hand, the short length can also be something in its favor. I get the impression that Ape Out is meant to be replayed, so the short length helps with that. I imagine if you get really good at it, you can probably finish it even quicker than I did. I think the point of this game is less to be some super deep epic experience and more something that you play to blow off steam after a bad day at work. If you need some more cathartic violence in your life, then this is definitely a game you should look into. Hey everybody, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks. It means a whole lot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all your standard YouTube outro stuff that you always hear. And other than that, we'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.